This is a very classic colonial method of warfare. The US used these kind of ecocidal tactics in Vietnam and in Iraq. And the crucial thing is that you're actually never able to grasp the full impact of these ecocidal methods of warfare until years after it's happened. We were seeing the most stark examples of how eco-apartheid is playing out in Palestine. It's so important to frame what's happening, to frame the situation on the ground in Gaza, not just as a genocide, but also as an ecocide. And this is not some academic or linguistic tool that we're using to add to it, but actually it speaks to a really important dimension of the violence that's taking place. Because when you just focus on the death count and the casualties, which is obviously catastrophic, like it's happening at a scale that the mind can't even comprehend. But if you just focus on these numbers, you're really missing the fuller picture of the actual industrial killing machine and the Zionist project, which is to annihilate all life and all conditions for life as well. And that's why the focus on ecocide is really important. So if you look at any kind of infrastructure that makes life possible in Gaza, whether it's homes or hospitals or universities, even the infrastructure that feeds people like farms and bakeries, warehouses, they've all been completely decimated. And these are the things that sustain life, that sustain livelihoods, right? And Israel has intentionally been targeting these institutions because they want to annihilate life in Gaza, because they want to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian population in Gaza. And that's why paying attention to the infrastructure and the environment is really important to understand what's happening in Gaza. And also, if you want to look at the ecological and natural dimension of the genocide in Gaza, almost all smallholder and industrial farms have been destroyed. The soils, the waterways, even the air that people breathe has been poisoned to levels that aren't livable anymore. Gaza was declared unlivable by the United Nations in 2020. So 4 years onwards and a year of genocide onwards, we can imagine the state of the natural world there. And yeah, it's obviously been poisoned to highly toxic levels because of the carpet bombing, but also because of the use of chemical weapons like white phosphorus. And this is a very classic colonial method of warfare. The US used these kind of ecocidal tactics in Vietnam and in Iraq. And the crucial thing is that you're actually never able to grasp the full impact or the consequences of these ecocidal methods of warfare until years after it's happened. We know that Iraq is still facing the consequences of depleted uranium from the US war. In Vietnam, obviously, the use of Agent Orange destroyed ecosystems for decades afterwards. We're not just focusing on the impacts on the natural world because we have this obsession with protecting nature, but because this is the natural world and the infrastructure that actually sustains people's lives and livelihoods.